it's Sam. So today I'm going to be doing another foundation review for you guys. It's going to be a review, demo, and wear test. I'm going to be reviewing the COLORESCIENCE All Calm Clinical Redness Corrector, which is a primer. Then they have the Sunforgettable by COLORESCIENCE Tint du Soleil, which is a broad spectrum SPF 30 foundation. We're also going to be trying out the COLORESCIENCE Sunforgettable Broad Spectrum SPF 50 Brush On Sunscreen, COLORESCIENCE Mineral Corrector Kit Broad SPF 20 Powder Palette. If you're not familiar with COLORESCIENCE, it was developed for those that have rosacea, adult acne, and redness. All Calm Clinical Redness Corrector is a 3-in-1 solution. It does have SPF 50, which is a really high amount of SPF. They are UVA, UVB, they're chemical free, so they're great for sensitive skin. These products all have a subtle green undertone, so that's what helps with the redness. So if you want to cover up your redness, but you don't want to have like a full coverage foundation, maybe there's days where you just want to like go work out, go to the beach, go outside, and you want that sun protection, but you don't want to have to do like a full face of glam full coverage foundation. These are great because they do kind of hide that redness, they kind of like camouflage it, but you still have a very natural looking skin finish. It gives you like an overall kind of like more evenness. It was also just recently awarded the O Award from Oprah Magazine for Best Day Cream for Sensitive Skin. So today I'm going to go ahead and put these to the test. I'm going to show you me applying them, kind of my thoughts as I'm using them. You can see kind of my finished result. I mean, I have it on right now. Then we're also going to be testing it throughout the day to see how it holds up to my oily skin, because you guys know I end up looking like a Vaseline face with a lot of different foundations. And also I have a lot of texture around here, so sometimes it can kind of crumble and get all like collected and weird. So that's going to be what I'm going to be looking for at the end of the day today. So I do have a coupon code for you guys. If you guys use the coupon code AllCalmSS in all capital letters, then you will get a mini size of the Sunforgettable Brush On Sunscreen. So that's this product right here, but it's just like a nice little convenient travel size. So you'll get that for free if you use that coupon code with the purchase of the All Calm Clinical Redness Corrector, which is like that SPF 50 primer. So I hope you guys find this helpful. If you do, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and keep on watching. Also, huge thank you to COLORESCIENCE for partnering up with me for this video and providing that coupon code for my subscribers. I really do appreciate it. And let's go ahead and get on to the demo. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is apply the All Calm Clinical Redness Corrector. This also has SPF 50 in it. So this is what the actual packaging looks like once you take it out of the box. It does have a pump top. So this is going to be basically your primer. I'm gonna take one squirt. It does come out like a little bit of a tinted color, and it does say to kind of like warm it up in the hands before you apply it. So I'm just gonna go ahead. I already did moisturize, so I'm just gonna go ahead and apply that all over my skin. It does have like a very kind of like that pore filling, kind of like smoothing feel. And because it already has a little bit of that tint, it kind of already takes a little bit of your redness away. Definitely has that kind of like silicone-y feel. It feels a little oily, but I can't say it feels like super duper greasy. I don't know, it feels almost like more moisturizing. Like it feels like it goes into the skin a little bit better, but you can see how that kind of has taken my tone and just evened it out. Okay, next I'm gonna take the COLORESCIENCE Mineral Corrector Palette. This also is SPF 20, and this is an all-in-one color correcting pressed palette, and it is water resistant up to 80 minutes. And it has like a little thing on the box that tells you like how to use the palette. Oh, that's nice. It also has on the back how to use the colors, which I find to be very helpful. So these are actually powders. I actually thought they were going to be a cream. It says on the like instructions of how to use these products that you are supposed to use this mineral corrector palette first before you use the foundation, which is kind of interesting. It seems to be a very lightweight powder. It doesn't feel super powdery. So I'm just going to take this one right here. It does come with like a little brush, and I'm basically just going to apply that to like any little like red spots that I have, because it says that this one corrects the red tones. So I'm just gonna put it like around here And it does seem like it goes into the skin quite nicely. It doesn't, I mean, normally I would never want to put a powder before I put like my foundation. Oh my god, do you see this zit, guys? I literally have a volcano erupting. Next, I'm going to take this middle one here. It says it corrects blue and covers brown. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that right in this section of my eye. Just because, oops, I did the wrong one. Just because I am just a little bit kind of dark under there. I'm going to kind of see if this like covers my brown spots just a little, because I do have brown spots up here and it says that it does. So we shall just see about that. It does kind of conceal them a little bit without being too much. I'm actually quite impressed with that. I'm going to go ahead and go back into the one that covers redness and just take that on my neck. I have so much scarring on my neck. It's just despicable. I always watch like these like laser videos where they like go and do the cool laser and all that kind of stuff for like acne skin. But they're so expensive. Like, you gotta be a millionaire to have a nice face nowadays. That's that done. I'm actually quite impressed. I thought it was gonna be powdery, but it does not get powdery at all. The next product is their foundation. This is the Tint du Soleil Whipped Foundation, creamy and lightweight, multivitamin infused, and it is water resistant up to 40 minutes. And this also has SPF 30. So all of these products have SPF in them because they're geared towards rosacea, and the #1 kind of trigger of rosacea is sun exposure. So that's why all of these products do have that sunscreen built into them, which I find to be very, very nice. And all of the sunscreens that are inside of these products are chemical free, and they're UVA, UVB as well. So that's really nice. So it's good if you do have sensitive skin. And it also has a biosolace complex, which makes it so that it's ongoing redness relief. Throughout the day, your redness is not gonna poke through if that's a problem that you've had, especially if you do have rosacea. It continues to kind of like calm down that redness. Okay, so this is what the foundation looks like. So it's in a nice kind of teal, it's kind of like squeezy tube. It has that little silver bottom, and then it is a pump top, which is nice. The color I have is medium. And I'm gonna go ahead and apply this with my beauty sponge. It is quite a thick formula, as you can see. Like, it is a whipped foundation, so it does feel quite thick. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of plop that around. I'm hoping that it is gonna blend out nicely with a sponge. We shall see though, because I don't know since it's whipped. Nay. So I don't know about the sponge with this actual product, because it seems to be soaking it up quite a bit. It seems to be going into the skin nicely, but I don't know if I feel like it might be taking away from the coverage. It's definitely not a full coverage foundation at all. Like, this is very minimal coverage. It's quite sheer, if you guys can tell. I do feel like if I would have used more of the redness corrector, that probably would have been a little better, like that primer, because I feel like that actually has quite a little bit more kind of coverage. Probably could have used a heavier layer of that. But that is the side that I did just with my fingers. And then that's the side that I did with the beauty sponge. I do feel like you get a little bit better coverage if you use your fingers. I am gonna go ahead and use a little bit more because I don't really have the coverage that I want. If you're like me, I know so many people always give me a hard time about this. Like, oh my God, you wear makeup to the beach? Despicable. But like, if you have bad skin, I don't care where you are. Like, just because you're at the beach doesn't mean that you automatically feel great about your skin and you want everyone to see the crap that you got going on. You know what I mean? So it definitely does make you feel self-conscious. So I do wear my full foundation to the beach. Sometimes I wear like a little bit lighter. But like, I don't want to just go barefaced because it makes me feel self-conscious, and then I don't even want to like go. I don't want to be even seen in public. I know that's sad, but it is part of my life. When you have skin like I do, it just makes you feel bummed out. I would probably wear this to the beach because it still gives you that coverage that, you know, it's not completely full coverage, but you're still, you know, getting a little bit of coverage and kind of blending out the problem areas, but you are also getting all of that extra sun protection. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of soak up any extra product with my sponge. So you can see this is definitely not buildable, I don't think. Like, I feel like you're kind of just gonna get sheer to a light medium coverage. It did blend out very well. It goes into the skin very nicely. It's very flattering. It looks very skin-like. It is picking up a couple of like little dry spots kind of around my nose and then like right here. My skin looks very kind of hydrated, but I am definitely feeling quite moistury, and it's definitely not very full coverage. So I just went ahead and put some concealer on, and I am going to just brighten underneath my eyes, and then hopefully that'll kind of like give me a little extra coverage in this area. I think for me this would definitely not be like an everyday full coverage foundation, but I think it would be a really great option if I was going to the beach, if I was going to the pool, anytime that I was going to be outside for a long period of time and I wanted that extra sun protection. I feel like this would be a really great option because not only are you getting a little bit of coverage, but you are getting such a great SPF. This concealer seems to be blending out really nicely. So just by adding that concealer, I feel like it's kind of just stepped up and it's pretty much covered everything else that I would need to cover. Now we're gonna go ahead and use the Brush On Sunscreen. This fights skin aging. It's a mess-free powder and it's immediate on-the-go protection, and it has SPF 50. So you can take this along with you to the beach, to the pool, wherever you're going that you're going to be outside in the sun, and then you can touch up with this powder throughout the day while applying your sunscreen. So it's like a really awesome product that you can do on the go. This is what the packaging looks like. And again, I have the color medium. So I am basically just going to dust that all over my face. It's a very lightweight powder. Doesn't look heavy on the skin at all. Like, it doesn't even look like I have powder on, to be honest. And it says if you do want complete oil control and complete sun protection, to apply this every 2 hours. So this would be something that you would keep in your bag with you. Okay, so that's what my skin looks like with everything on. Now, obviously you guys know I'm actually a fan of a very full coverage foundation, and I usually go for a matte finish. I feel like this is definitely not full coverage. I think by adding my own concealer, it definitely gave me kind of like a little bit more coverage than I initially had. So I think that if you are going to combine it with the products that you already use just for that added sun protection, then it totally works that way. I don't feel like you have to completely stick to just this. Like, you can absolutely blend in your regular concealer. It blended out really nicely. It looks really pretty on the skin. I do feel like it has made my skin look really pretty. It looks like my skin. Like, it doesn't even look like I really have any kind of product on, because it's so skin-like. If you don't want to feel like you're like, hey, full-on cake face at the beach, then this would be a really great option, because my skin does look very natural. It doesn't look like I have tons of makeup on, but not only am I like covered, like my redness, my acne scarring is all kind of blended, and it's really covered, but I don't have like it doesn't feel like I have a ton of makeup on, and I do have that sun protection. So I do like that. I mean, my skin looks really pretty. I'll get up close so you guys can see. Like, it looks nice. Now this is medium, so this is definitely quite pale because I'm quite white at the moment. I don't know how many shades they have. I will look that up and I'll put that in the description box, but definitely medium for me is not really medium. Medium for me is like, it's probably more on the light side because I'm quite pale at the moment. But do you see this like really pretty glow right here? Like, I really do look like my skin looks really nice. I'm actually happy with it. I was thinking like, oh gosh, this is not gonna, I'm not gonna have enough coverage. I'm gonna be unhappy with this, but it actually turned out quite nice. When I touch my skin, it doesn't feel really oily anymore. It does feel hydrated, but I wouldn't say that it feels greasy or slippery. It just feels moisturized. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of my makeup because I do wanna see how these things blend out, because it's not quite as matte as I would normally use. And then I'll come back and show you what it looks like once it's all done. Okay, Okay guys, so I have finished the rest of my makeup. This is basically what my face looks like. I went for a really glowy look today because I felt like the skin was so kind of like natural and not a full coverage, normal like bright under eyes, super like, you know, contoured full coverage foundation. So I'm trying out a new product, which you guys will have already seen, but I wanted to keep it real glowy and kind of just like fresh today. I will say that my contour, it definitely went a little bit more pigmented than it usually does because my skin felt so moisturized. Normally I have so much powder on that everything blends out a little bit softer, whereas I feel like it definitely did pick up the pigmentation of my contour just because it wasn't matte and super powdery. Keep that in mind if you are gonna try this out. Don't go for like a really dark contour. Maybe stick with one that's a little softer because it does pull out a little bit more color and pigment just because you do feel so like hydrated. But I don't feel oily. It's not like a slimy grease. It definitely just feels like a really good moisturizer, if that makes sense. Everything blended out fine. It was just a little bit more pigmented than it usually is. So I didn't have any problems with streakiness or like anything getting stuck or being patchy. Like I feel like everything looks smooth and very blended out. So there was no problem as far as like blending. It was just the color pigmentation was a little stronger. I did have a bit of a struggle with my eyebrows just because it felt so moisturized that the wax didn't want to stay on. My skin, it looks really pretty. I look super glowy. It definitely just looks very hydrated and very kind of like natural. When you get up close, the skin looks like skin. Like it doesn't even look like I have like foundation on. It just looks like I have nice skin. So I really like that. So I do think this is such a beach appropriate kind of like collection of like foundation products. Did oxidize a little bit though. I will say that as I've been wearing it, I've noticed I have a little bit more color coming to my face than I originally did. Just in general, it looks a little tiny bit darker than what I started with. Not bad, but just a tiny little bit. This specific product right here, the All Calm Clinical Redness Corrector with the SPF 50, is something that I could use on a daily basis underneath my actual foundation routine because I do feel like it did do a really good job of toning, kind of like evening out the tone. It is also very pore filling. I do feel like it smoothed out my skin really nicely, and I love that it has SPF 50. So I think this would be something that I would incorporate into my already like full coverage foundation routine if that's what I was, if I'm going for like a full coverage. As far as the powder goes, I feel like this is one of those products that you could just always keep in your purse, whether or not you use this to set your powder or set your foundation. Usually it's kind of cool that it is a little setting powder that does have that SPF 50, so that if you do just have it in your purse and then you're gonna be like, oh, you're meeting someone for lunch and you wanna sit outside, this is kind of cool because then you can just have it in your bag. The powder is very lightweight, so it's not gonna look powdery on the skin. It's not gonna be like cakey. I don't think that the more you put it on, the cakier you are because it's so lightweight. I feel like I could just touch it up again and it kind of controls that oil. It's not adding like any actual coverage or anything, but it is definitely just kind of like taking away the oil a little bit, and then you're adding that SPF 50. So this is a product that I do feel like I could just keep in my bag. As far as the foundation goes, I do feel like it's not full coverage enough for me to use on a daily basis. There's no way. But like I said, I think this would be a great beach foundation, a great kind of outdoorsy foundation. If I know I'm going to be going outside and I'm not super concerned about being like full on glam, this would definitely be something that I would reach for because it does give you more coverage than a tinted moisturizer. But I feel like it has that SPF 30 in it. And I love the fact that it does look so skin-like on the skin. A little, what is it called, mineral corrector kit. I was really impressed with the fact that even though these are a powder, they really don't look like powder on the skin. It doesn't look like I have any kind of powder on my skin at all. They're really, really kind of like a creamy powder. They go into the skin nicely. And they did do some really awesome correcting, especially underneath my eyes where I was kind of a little dark. I mean, I don't have my full-on white powder right now underneath my eyes, which you guys know I usually use. And I don't feel like I look overly tired or anything. I just look like I have a really nice, very natural kind of like glow. I just look like very healthy and fresh. So I actually really like how it turned out. The true test is going to be how it wears because they are quite a moisturizing formula. So right now it is 10:16. It doesn't want to focus, does it? 10:16. So I'll come back probably this afternoon and we'll check in and see how it is wearing. But that is what my face looks like right now. I'll get up nice and close so that you guys can see My skin looks really pretty. Even though it's not a full coverage foundation, like it looks nice. It's definitely something that I could go out in public and I wouldn't feel self-conscious about. I'll see you guys in a little bit and then we'll check on to see how it's doing as far as the oil control goes. That's always my biggest problem, you guys know. 3:04, so it's been on, what time did I start? Oh, I can't remember what time it was before. Was it around 10? It's definitely been on for at least 4 hours. I think it's around 5 hours, close to 5 hours at least. So I'm definitely looking oily on my forehead and then kind of right here, and on my chin. I'm not greasy. I'm a little bit oily right here. I'm not anywhere on my cheeks at all. Coverage still looks about the same. I mean, it was never full coverage to begin with. So I do feel like everything has stayed in place really well. I haven't had any movement, like nothing has gathered. Even in like this line right here and this one, like nothing is really collecting. And it's not gathering up here at all either. So everything has kind of stayed in place really well. I would say that it pretty much looks exactly like I left it when I first, like, you know, first did my, my whatever time it was. The only thing I'm noticing is just oil, and honestly the oiliest section is kind of like right here by my nose. So I'm just gonna go ahead, I'll get up real close so you guys can see. You guys see? So it's not terribly oily. I mean, I've had worse, but I am definitely a little bit oily. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take some toilet paper, and I am gonna go ahead and just press it in. I am noticing a little bit of loss of coverage just on the tip of my nose. Just a little tiny bit. I'm noticing a little bit of gathering like right here. But other than that, everything else looks fine. So now that I have blotted, there's still definitely a glow to my skin. Like I can still see that I have like a glow. It doesn't look completely matte. But yeah, everything still looks fine. I'm actually very happy with it. I am looking a little kind of dark in this area, but I didn't do my brightening powder like I usually do. But I do have a big brown spot right here and it is kind of peeking through. I don't know if you guys can see that. I hate this thing. I want to get it like, I don't even know how to get rid of that kind of stuff, but it drives me insane. And I just feel like right here, I could have a little bit more coverage, like especially in this area. So I'll check back in tonight and then we'll see, now that I've blotted, we'll see if it kind of like reproduces a lot more oil and gets greasy again. And then we can check to see if anything has kind of like gathered or, you know, lost coverage or whatever. It'll probably be another 4 or 5 more hours, I'm guessing. I usually come back in once it's bedtime and all that good stuff. So we'll see you in a little bit. Hello. It is now 9, oh my gosh. 9:59. It has been on for a total of almost 12 hours. I think it's 11 hours and 45 minutes. Basically really, really greasy. There's no oil here, but my whole forehead, my whole area right here, my whole area right here, and then of course my chin is all oily. It has not really moved. It hasn't collected into my lines. It has not kind of like gathered into anywhere on my chin. I will say I have definitely lost some coverage over here on my cheeks. That's not quite as like covered as it was before. My neck, maybe a little bit of coverage. I've definitely just noticed like more around this area that the coverage isn't quite as like, you know, strong as it was before. And then definitely my nose, like it's kind of like, oh, it's definitely transferring for sure. But the nose has pretty much lost like coverage. It pretty much just looks like it's my regular skin on my nose right now. But you can see like when I wipe, it's not necessarily the foundation that comes off as much as it is just the grease. I feel like when you touch it like this, it's just kind of like you wipe the grease off, but you're not necessarily wiping all the foundation off like the other foundation that I tried the other day was. Like that was just straight up foundation gets right swiped off. Whereas this, I feel like, I mean, it kind of just blends. It just kind of like, you just remove the grease, but you don't necessarily, I mean, it does kind of take it off a little bit around this area, but it's still not as bad as just like a full-on swipe of like foundation gone. I feel like it's held up pretty well considering it's not a full coverage foundation. It's definitely really oily on my face. So if you have oily skin, then you're definitely going to want to continue to blot throughout the day. Or maybe this wouldn't be a long wearing foundation. Like, I mean, it definitely did, as far as like not going into crevices or lines or building up or kind of like collecting, that didn't happen. So I'm really happy with that. But the oil control just wasn't there for me, which is always my biggest problem. Pretty much every single foundation this happens to, except for my like Holy Grail combination that I always use. Every other foundation, for the most part, that I've ever tried always makes me look Vaseline-y by the end of the day. Like, I always just look super duper oily. This would not be a foundation that I would use on a daily basis. I would continue to use this in a kind of like shorter time period. So if I knew that I'm gonna be going to the beach from this time to this time, I'll be there for like maybe 4 or 5 hours. I want extra sun protection. I want a little bit of coverage, but I don't want to like full glam it up. This is definitely the product that I would reach for. I'm gonna try using this primer underneath my regular routine and see if I still get that oil. Because I do love the fact that this has SPF 50. I think there are going to be people out there that would really enjoy this foundation, or at least pieces of this kind of collection that I showed you guys today. Don't forget to use that coupon code ALLCALMSAM, or sorry, I keep wanting to say that, ALLCALMSS. That way you get that free little travel size of the brush on sunscreen with the purchase of the All Calm primer. There you guys go. I hope you guys found that helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.